Randomness? It's a girl thing. Planning your entire future with a guy you've only spoken 3 words to? It's a girl thing. Online shopping problem? It's a girl thing. A full camera roll? It's a girl thing. Going to the bathroom together? It's a girl thing. You name it. It's a girl thing. Hi and welcome back to the It's a Girl Thing podcast. It's me, Kate, as always, and today I have yet another exciting guest for you. This is Aimee. Aimee, welcome to the podcast. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and who you are in day-to-day life.
Thank you so much, Kate, for having me. I am someone that people might know from TikTok. So over on TikTok, I post fashion content and I post a little bit of my day-to-day life on there as well. Outside of social media, however, I am an ex-primary school teacher who has just gone into a corporate marketing field thanks to some of the mahi that I have done over on TikTok, which I am so grateful for and really excited for a new journey.
I love how your words of kind of things. I didn't realize you were an ex-primary school teacher. Did you teach like a specific year group or?
Yeah, so I have been teaching. I've only just left in December last year. I taught for 4 years and I was teaching in year 1/new entrant and a little bit of work in like preschools and early childhood as well. So a massive switch up for me to now be a marketing girly.
Cutie little kiddos and then switching to the big corporate life. Was it quite a big change?
Yeah, quite a big change. I've only just transitioned into that environment, so I'm still adjusting, but that's just the world we live in now. I'm still figuring it all out. I'm still in my 20s as well. So such an exciting time to explore new options in terms of career.
Absolutely. So I have my tried and true, my pride and joy question that I love asking, which is what's your favorite thing about being a girl?
I love this question. I've been loving listening to your other guests also answer this question for you. My absolute favorite thing about being a girl is I think that women just so passionately can wear our emotions and our heart on our sleeve, and we're not afraid to show it. We're not afraid to talk about it. And I know that men have just entered the chat and they're starting to talk feelings too, but I think that is something that is so special to women. And I'm so proud to be a girl for that reason. I think it's so special and so important for our mental health as well, to be able to talk about our feelings and wear our heart on our sleeve.
That's such a different answer than the ones I've had so far. Some of them have been really, really similar, and then I've had some that are really unique answers. And they're like things I don't specifically think about until you're talking about it. So I definitely agree. I definitely think in the last few years, especially since COVID, it's become a lot more normalized to talk about it and to be confident wearing your heart on your sleeve, so to speak.
Yeah, I
Whereas
definitely
before
agree.
that, yeah, it was really like, if you showed and talked about it, it was kind of like, well, are you seeking attention? Are you doing this as a cry for help? Or are we just talking about it to talk about it? Whereas now
Yeah,
it's a whole thing to talk about it.
I think that girls are so great, yeah, at talking about it. And obviously there's so many other things I also love about being a girl, fashion obviously being one of them, and all of those surface level things. But I think when I really thought hard about what I love to be about being a girl, that was just one of them. I love that.
I just love that you can have so many surface level answers, but when you like dig down to the core, that's just one of those things you think of.
I absolutely agree.
In your opinion, would you say fast fashion's worth the purchase, or is it worth investing in more staple pieces that might be slightly more expensive?
That's a really good question. And like with 100% honesty, my wardrobe is a complete blend. The pieces that I do or have from fast fashion were purchased quite some time ago, and I try and buy staple pieces that I will rewear again and again and again. I am trying at the moment to invest in more quality pieces, if I'm honest, but I think that if you're someone who is looking to save money, which is the appeal in fast fashion, right, is that it's at such a lower price point. I think that nowadays we're seeing really cool options to get designer pieces at a lower price point. And I think like things like designer wardrobe here in New Zealand, where people are listing their secondhand goods, obviously designer things or higher end things are usually a better quality. And so if you're buying something secondhand from one of these brands that is deemed as higher end, it's probably still in immaculate condition. And that's what I found. And when I was a lot younger, when I was in university and in high school, I spent a lot of time browsing designer wardrobe and I picked up heaps of great finds off there. I still do get great finds on there now, actually. And I found that was a really lower cost way to potentially have those higher quality pieces in your wardrobe that will last, as well as you've always got Trade Me, Marketplace. I know Ruby has a really cool initiative at the moment where they're taking in people's secondhand pre-loved Ruby stuff. I think there's a way you can get creative about it now, and I'm excited to hopefully see more people starting to invest in higher end pieces, because obviously there's a sustainability aspect as well, where we're seeing fast fashion being chucked out more often because they're usually micro trend pieces that aren't staying in people's wardrobes for long.
I think that's the big danger is with like social media, is that there are so many trends that go around that people want to be involved in all of them, but you can't necessarily afford to have high-end pieces that follow all the trends. So they go for the cheap, the fast fashion alternatives that
Yeah,
get them included in that.
I agree. Micro trends have become a real issue, I think, particularly now that TikTok has grown over the last 5 years or so. We're seeing even more micro trends cycling through, and it's impossible to keep up. And if you aren't someone who's very confident in your personal style, I can see how easy it would be to get swept away in those. And when I was younger, I also was 100% guilty of getting swept up in them. And I think, like, coming back to the conscious consumerism, like having things in the back of your mind that you can tell yourself, like, am I going to wear this more than in 3 different occasions? Or do I have 5 different pieces in my wardrobe that'll already go with this? And those kinds of formulas, or like, I'm going to wait 48 hours before I make the purchase. Those kind of formulas and having those thought processes will hopefully slow down those purchasing of micro trends.
I must admit, until about 6 months ago, I felt like I guiltily fell into far too many of the like TikTok micro trend things because I didn't really have any confidence in the clothes that I did choose to wear. It was just I picked out random things and I was like, oh yeah, I like this, but I had no ability to style it. So I was like, oh, and then you see all these people pop up and you're like, oh, I want to have fashion like that. But then they also don't have your body type. They don't necessarily have the same personality. And so it just makes it really hard. So you end up flitting between so many different things. So I'm glad that
I
I've
think,
become more aware.
yeah, I think there's also a time and a place where it's okay to see something and like it and buy it, in terms of if you see a trend and you've been thinking about it for a while and you really align yourself with that, it's okay to buy that. I don't think my wardrobe certainly isn't a traditional capsule wardrobe where it's all beige, black and white, and it all goes together perfectly. I've got lots of pieces that are quite fun and that have bought into different, I guess, trends over time. But I like to think that I've consciously shopped all of those statement pieces, or all of those kind of more playful pieces in my wardrobe.
Well, I think it was last time we talked, you had this gorgeous purple set on, and I hunted through your socials to find it because I was like, that is so cute. But I'm also like, I'm a broke uni student. I don't need it right now. But it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think I'm loving seeing on TikTok at the moment, people are posting their wish lists or things I tried on and I didn't buy. And I think promoting that kind of energy is just so cool. It's okay to see something and absolutely love it and be okay with not having it.
Well, there's an afterpay sale on at Sephora at the moment. And I've been seeing people on TikTok posting de-influencing almost like products that you don't need to get in the Sephora sale, posting a bunch of the like really popular products that like TikTok would have influenced you to buy otherwise. And so it's quite
Yeah,
cool to see the self-awareness
I'm
coming in.
yeah, I'm really liking the kind of sustainable aspect of these videos on TikTok that are going around at the moment.
Well, do you have any go-to fashion hacks? Anything you can share?
I will try and think of something for you, Kate. So when I get dressed in the morning, there's usually 3 different things that I try and consider. And those things are the shape of what I'm wearing, the color of what I'm wearing, and the length of what I'm wearing. And usually I'll pick one piece that I really love to be kind of the center of my outfit, and then I'll balance everything out around it. So if I've got one crop top, for example, that I want to wear out for dinner, I'll balance the energy of that by wearing like longer pants or a longer skirt so it doesn't become too much. Or if I'm wearing something that's quite tight, tight pants or a tight top, I'll try and balance that out by going baggy on the bottom. And I think that's at the moment the formula that I'm kind of using to do my outfits, and it seems to be working okay. Also loving the sandwich theory that's again going around on TikTok, where people are kind of sandwiching their colors together in terms of if they've got something white on top, they'll do whatever in the middle, pair of jeans, and then they'll do like white again on the bottom, so you've got the same color, the top of the bottom of your outfit. And I find that looks really cool too, and is a really easy thing to consider when you're getting dressed. But just having a mixture of staple pieces, basics, and then a few fun bits as well. Like I said, I don't personally promote having a all beige wardrobe. I think it's so fun to have pieces that make you excited and make you feel fun and do have a little bit more of that personality in them. Like I said, it's kind of a way to express yourself without using words. So I love to have a few fun pieces as well as my basics. And I think once you've got yourself a wardrobe that kind of has a great blend of the two, then like you're away.
I love that 100%. I went home to visit my family a couple of weeks ago, and obviously I brought a couple of things back with me, like just what I was wearing that day when I was at home. Like I came back wearing the same thing, and I realized, because it was a bright orange t-shirt, and I was like, I realized just how color bland the things I chose to bring to uni were, other than like dresses and skirts, which obviously are usually the exception. I was like, have I just bought like white, black, beige, and one blue t-shirt? Like, what colors was I going for? Because there's nothing there that makes life anything exciting. So that's my sign to bring home more color, bring back more color to my wardrobe.
Well, if you've got heaps of those neutral pieces already in your wardrobe, you're off to such a great start, because now you get to potentially fill your wardrobe with all the fun stuff that is going to pair beautifully with all of those staple basics. So you're up to the fun part, whereas I probably personally need to invest in a few more basics, because I love going for interesting shapes or interesting colors, patterns, and then I try and pair them all together, and sometimes I just look like an absolute like patchwork cardigan, and I need to tone it down.
How did you find your own style?
I would say, Kate, through a lot of experimenting. I have gone through some phases. I'm usually a pretty full send. When I find a kind of look that I like, I'll go and I'll run with it. And I've definitely had a few eras now where I look back and I think, oh my gosh, what was I doing? I know when I first moved here to Mount Maunganui, I went through a phase where I would just only wear things that were like decked out in shells and crochet. And I think that came probably from more of an inner need to like prove myself that I was like this beach girl now. But I definitely reflect on that time and I think like, whoa, okay, that really wasn't my style. But that's how I've come to find my styles, through a lot of experimenting. I've always been quite playful. So just if I like it, I'll wear it. And now that does haunt me through a few of my old photos. And I'm still experimenting now, to be honest. I might look back in 5 years' time and look at my current outfits and just think, oh my goodness, what are you doing? But at the moment, I'm really loving the kind of style that I'm going for. And I think I've found that, yeah, through a lot of experimenting, finding inspiration on Pinterest, on TikTok. There are so many great platforms now where you can find inspiration, even just out on the street. If you see something you like, don't be afraid to go home and recreate it. I think we do live in a society now where there's so much pressure to be original and to come up with your own personal style, but actually it's okay to take inspiration from other sources. And I think that we should normalize that, because no one in this world is original. There's billions of us that live on this floating rock we call Earth, and we all get ideas from one another. So like, let's just celebrate that and like champion those people that we see and we think, wow, that's really cool. See someone in the street, go and tell them that you think their outfit's really cool. I think like that would make my day, and that's probably going to make someone else's day. But I think, yeah, finding sources of inspiration and then not being afraid to give it a go, try it yourself, explore, because I think the only way you're going to find your own personal style is just through having a go and, yeah, not being afraid to put something on, even if it makes you feel a little bit cringe to start with.
Definitely a lot of trial and error, it seems, is the solution to life's problems. I definitely agree about the like talking to people on the street. I've seen so many girls wearing the most gorgeous clothes or the most gorgeous outfit, and it's like I feel like there's something so awkward about going up to somebody and being like, I love your outfit, where's it from? Like,
Yeah, last year I went over to Sydney and I saw a couple of my friends who were living there. And I noticed that in that week in Sydney, quite a few people were coming up to me and saying that they loved what I was wearing. And then I started doing the same. And obviously, being in a different country as well, I kind of had this newfound confidence about me to approach people in the street. But I would love to see that translate back to New Zealand. I think occasionally in like clubbing culture, you might get like the old girls' bathroom at midnight and everyone's complimenting each other's outfits. But I would love to just see people doing that day to day in the street because, like, yeah, we love
I,
being a girl. And I think that's just like, that's girlhood. Let's build each other up.
I definitely would as well. One thing I've discovered, or I've seen at least posted on TikTok and things like that, is from New Zealanders going that they feel overdressed, like by wearing the things they really like to wear or what's considered like normal in, say, the States is, and even Australia, is considered like overdressed here for like everyday things. And it's like sometimes I'll want to wear a dress out on a random Saturday, but it's like, is it okay to wear a dress out? Like everyone else is in like jean shorts and a tank.
I love that you brought this up because this is something that I'm still grappling with. I think I'm starting to get over it, but definitely something, being someone who loves fashion, I spent a long time being scared to wear those pieces that I truly love because, again, I felt very overdressed, a little bit out of place. And especially living here in Mount Maunganui, people walk around in bare feet and bikinis most of the time for half the year. So you really don't see a lot of people trotting around in a dress or in anything too extravagant. But a cool analogy that one of my friends told me about recently that I really loved and was a really cool way to describe kind of this feeling. Well, she said it was cringe mountain. And every time there's something you really want to do, whether you're going to start a podcast or you're going to start posting on TikTok, or you just want to start wearing clothes that are a little bit in that realm, she said, you've got to get over cringe mountain before it becomes cool and normal. You've kind of got to go through the season where you do feel a little bit weird and you do feel a little bit out of place. And then eventually, as time passes, you kind of build this confidence within that and you do it more. And then eventually you've conquered cringe mountain and then you feel cool and you feel confident and you get to wear those clothes that you really love. And I think I've just come to a place now where I do feel comfortable going out in something that makes me feel good and not being too worried about what everyone else in the street is going to potentially think about that.
I definitely think that's something a lot of people, myself included, still have to start to come to terms with, that conquering of cringe mountain. I feel like that comes into play with so many things that you have to do to get over that like
Yeah.
cringe factor or the awkward factor, so to speak.
Yeah, I loved that analogy from my friend. It really, really resonated with me. And like ever since I had that conversation with her, which was months ago, it's still something I think about nearly every day.
How do we bring confidence into the way we dress? We've kind of touched on it, but if you had anything more to add.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at some of the notes that I took, and I just have two words, and they are cringe mountain. So I think that's really it. I think to find that confidence in your style and not only the getting dressed part, but the leaving the house and going about your day-to-day life in these clothes, you've got to conquer cringe mountain. And I know that's so much easier said than done because I've definitely been in positions where I've actually felt so awkward that I've gone home, gotten changed, and then gone to the supermarket. Say if I've gone out for brunch with a friend and I've dressed really cute for the brunch and like my friend's there to hype me up, and then I know I need to go to the supermarket later, I've absolutely gone home and gotten changed into something that I felt more comfortable in. So I know that conquering cringe mountain is no easy thing to do, but I think it's a special journey. And once you get to the other side, it's pretty cool. And I'm just experimenting and like experiencing all of that now.
It's almost like it's the first step you've got to take for it to be getting over it, is you've got to start taking that first step.
Yeah. First step's the hardest one. So
Do you think the way we dress influences the way we how we act in life? For example, if we dress the part, we're more likely to get the part.
I absolutely think yes. And a perfect example, I've just transitioned from teaching into a corporate marketing role, and I was getting dressed for lots of interviews. I went for heaps, and I think that in the interviews that I felt so good in what I was wearing, I spoke so much better. And then in the ones where I went and I felt a little bit out of myself, or I wasn't really feeling myself, and whatever I wore that day, for whatever reason, sometimes we just have days where we just don't like what we're wearing and we just don't feel good in our skin, and that's normal too. But I think on those days in particular where I had dressed for literally the part, I was getting the part, which is like such a literal interpretation of that. But in any aspect of life, I think without question, like the way we dress affects the way we present ourselves, and that then has a massive ripple effect into whatever success you would define as what you're striving for if you were to dress for a certain thing.
Somehow, every time I think about the concept of like dress the part, get the part, I think literally in like terms of theatre, and the only thing that comes to mind at the moment is like Shrek the musical. Like if you walked into your audition already dressed as Shrek, you're more likely to get it. Don't ask me why that was my first thought. That's just the thought that's been existing in my head since I thought of this question.
I kind of love that. And as someone who did musical theatre in school as well, and I also grew up doing quite serious like dance training, it was very literally how you dressed. You went into a ballet exam, gosh, you spent like a good 2 hours primping yourself to look absolutely perfect for the examiner. And that's also a very literal interpretation. But I think in any concept and any context, that is just 100% true. And I so stand by that. If you dress the part, then you'll get the part.
On to our lucky last question. Do you have any words of wisdom for the girlies who are trying to find their way into fashion and confidence and like romanticizing their life in that way?
I would say just have fun, experiment. It's okay to take inspiration from outside sources. And if you like it, just wear it. It's not that deep. It's not that cringe. We literally live on a floating rock in space, and what you wear is not going to affect anyone other than yourself. So just do whatever makes you feel the best.
I think that's something we forget, is that we do literally live on a floating rock.
That's my motto in life. In general, people who are
love it.
around me on a day-to-day basis hear me say it most days. It's on my bedroom wall on a post-it note, because when I have those moments where I get in the overthinks and I need those words of wisdom, those are words that help me. So I hope that whoever's listening also can take that little nugget of wisdom away with them.
If anybody who's listened today wants to come and find you on social media, flick your message, follow along with your journey, where can they find that?
The best platform to find me is over on TikTok. I am Aimee Stringer over on TikTok. And then my Instagram handle is exactly the same. My name is actually spelt with French spelling, fun fact. So instead of the traditional AMY, I'm actually AIMEE, which, yeah, I love. And I feel like that really compliments my personality, that funky spelling.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been so nice to have a chat about clothes and fashion. I say as I'm wearing like the least fashionable outfit ever, but comfort.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and I'm really looking forward to following along with your podcast journey as well.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. It's been great having you. If you have any topics you'd love for me to discuss, want some big sisterly advice, or just want to say hey, just reach out to me on Instagram at It's a Girl Thing Pod, and I hope you join us next week. Stay beautiful.